Alright, so this is what we're kind of left with here. I've straightened all the edges out and squared everything up so that we've got some usable lumber. I might need to glue some pieces together, and so I wanted to have some nice flat square edges to use if needed. I saved every little bit of the table. I don't know what exactly I'm going to need yet. I might need to, like I said, combine some pieces to make larger ones here. But looking at this wood, this is going to be a challenge, so this will be interesting to see how this all turns out. But I've used this wood for other projects, and it's actually really beautiful wood underneath all of the oldness. So we'll see. I'm up to the challenge. We'll see what we can get out of this. Okay, so my first step here is to just kind of lay some things out on the biggest board, and I want to get at least my two end pieces for the top bar beehive out of this board, and then at least one of the sides. And so I want the beehive to be about 12 inches deep. So I've marked a line 12 inches here, and that'll be a guide for the top of those end pieces. I use a chalk line here to draw a nice straight line. Okay, and from the research that I've done, it looks like the best angle to have the sides at is about 120 degrees. And so I'm actually going to start with this end, I believe, because this is a better side of the board here. And so I'm going to mark off using my speed square here. This only goes up to 90 degrees, but if you carry that over to the other side, you can use those same marks to get up to 120 degrees. So I'm going to mark 120 degree lines here. I want the bottom to be about 10 inches wide, and then up to my total 12-inch height. And so I'm going to get two of those marked off here, and then see what kind of space I have left. Okay, so just by measuring the diagonal line that I have here, I can see I've got about a 14-inch line here. I'm going to cut my boards at about 15 inches that are going to run along the sides just to have an overlap, and then I'm going to match this angle. So I'm going to cut the boards a little bit longer than they need to be, so I can cut off that angle at the end. So I've got a couple pieces cut down here, and for one of the sides of the beehive, I don't have enough width on my boards that I'm using all the scrap pieces here, so I'm going to try to glue a couple together and see if I can get a good strong single piece that will be large enough for what I need. I don't have, this isn't this old house, and I'm not Bob Vila, that's for sure. So I have a pretty standard collection of tools here. I don't have a lot of great clamps and carpentry tools and a really good carpentry workbench and all that kind of stuff. So I'm making do with what I have here, and hopefully this will help others as well that don't have a lot of tools. But in order to clamp these together, I don't have a lot of good bar clamps that I can really get a whole clamp on, and I just want to attach this board here to the larger one here. I also have a crack in this board that I'm going to fix as well with some glue, get that glued together. So I need some good clamping pressure to keep these held together while the glue dries. And so what I've done is I just screwed a couple blocks of just scrap 2x4 here along the back of my workbench. I've got 3 blocks along the back there. And then I drilled a couple holes and put a couple scrap pieces of 2x4 here with some pegs glued into it. And so that kind of just fits in here, so I can remove these when I'm not using it and it won't be in my way. I've got these kind of run all the way along the front of my workbench. You can't see all of them just because the angle we're at here, and my idea is to be able to kind of butt these together, and then I've made some wedges and just a couple scrap pieces of shelving I had. It almost has like a melamine coating on it, some type of MDF, so it's kind of slippery and the glue won't stick to it. And so I'm just kind of putting these spacers in here, and a cut of these wedges out, and these kind of will rotate along with the wedge, which is nice. And all I'm doing along the front here is just kind of tapping these together. I'm going to put weight on the top here, just put some heavy objects on the top to hold this flat, and then as you pound that together, it tightens up that joint between the two here really well. So that makes a nice tight joint. Okay, so I've got both of the end pieces here for the beehive, and these are obviously looking pretty horrible. This is aged wood, and so I'm going to use a belt sander to just strip about 1/8 of an inch of the surface off of both sides, square up the ends a little bit here, and just kind of sand these down real nice. If you don't have a belt sander, this is probably one of the most useful tools that I've ever bought. I use this thing all the time, especially if you're using a lot of refurbished or old wood. But if you don't have one of these, you can pick up planes, and you can probably use a plane to scrape the surface off of this really nicely as well, or tie it through an orbital sander or hand sanding, obviously. So you don't have to have the power tools to do this, but this is the easiest way to go. Makes a big difference. A little bit of sanding on that wood. I think that wood looks real nice. So this will clean up real good for us, I think. Big difference between that and that, that's for sure. But I have a lot of sanding to do here, so we'll get to it. All right, let's take this apart and check it out. See how well it's glued together here. It's been just over an hour. The glue hasn't set 100%. So what I'm going to do is take these all out here. I'm going to move this forward, and I'm going to add a couple screws into this joint here. So I'm going to add one straight through here, one close to this joint here, probably 2 of them actually, and then one down here. So about 4 screws. And I'm going to do a kind of pocket screw that I've used before. It works really well, especially when you're growing across the grain like this. The screws will hold real good. So that'll help hold this together until the glue sets 100%, which takes about 24 hours. Okay, so this piece here is going to make up the bottom of the hive, and it's going to open and close on the bottom to let air ventilation in. And so I've got to make this a little bit longer, so I need to kind of butt joint these 2 pieces together. Now, whenever I'm doing a joint like this where I've got a long piece of wood and a short glue joint, I like to do a dowel. You can do biscuit joints and other things, but what I found is easiest, since I don't have a biscuit jointer, is just to basically drill a couple holes in the ends of your board here. And then I'm just using, I think it's a 3/4 inch dowel pegs here to stick in, and then that'll help the glue joint hold together a little bit better. Cutting, we've got these boards pretty much at their final shape. I've got some finish sanding to do here to pretty these up a little bit further, but this wood actually turns out really nice. I think this is a birch tabletop, so it actually looks pretty good. So the legs that we're going to be using here are just made out of 2x4s, and all I'm doing to get these lined up, I just kind of put them across each other to match the angle of the beehive, and then marked out where they're going to cross each other. And all I'm going to do with these are 1.5 inch total width, so I'm going to cut these out 3/4 of an inch down, and I'm just going to use a circular saw to just buzz through here a bunch of times, and then I'm going to use a chisel to plow the rest of the wood out and make a nice smooth surface so that these will fit together. Okay, so once we've got these all chiseled out, and just as smooth as possible, it doesn't have to be perfect. There's no need to sand in here or anything like that. This is all going to be covered up by the half lap anyway. And all we're going to use here right now is just some wood glue, and I'm going to clamp these together to let that dry and harden up really well. I may add a screw or two to these legs as well, but the strength of these half lap joints is actually really strong on its own, so we may not even need to add screws. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this a nice thick coat of glue in here, and we'll clamp these down. I'm just using a piece of scrap wood to clamp them down, just to make sure that we have even application of glue and clamping pressure here. Alright, I think that's going to wrap it up for part one. We've got our legs put together, we've got all of our wood prepped and cut to size and ready to go. In the next step here, or phase, we're going to be starting to put everything together, getting some of our angles cut, and just kind of start to get the finishing touches on the actual main part of the beehive. At the last video, I'll probably do just the roof and painting and finishing touches and things like that. So hopefully you guys have found this entertaining, at least, if not informational in the least. If you guys want to follow along and see the next steps as they come out, go ahead and hit subscribe to the channel, and you'll get updated when any new videos come out. Hit thumbs up on the video if you found it fun or informational at all. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a good one.